The message of that song, I guess, would be put to tests during the Ekiti elections, right? It's just a question.
No shishi for bribe.
So, as the Ekiti state governorship election fast approaches, various political parties are holding their party primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections as well. So, we need to check how we strengthen our political process. That, of course, cannot be overemphasized. So, we start today on how our political process can be strengthened as we prepare for the general elections, of course, with our eye on what is adjudged as perhaps the most credible election we ever had in Nigeria, June 12. Moyo Ekundaya joins us this morning. He is a leadership development consultant and organizational strategist. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
I don't even know where to start with you this morning because all of the issues are just coming. First of all, your own assessment of how we as a people did with the primaries of the major political parties in the course of the week gone by.
Well, we had the primaries of the two major political parties, the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, and also the APC, the ruling party.
But we had the Labour Party and NNPP as well?
Okay, yeah. We have the Labour Party, the NNPP as well. But really...
As well as the ADC.
ADC, well, there are so many of these parties now,
Yes.
and it's even good. At least up to about 14 candidates or 15 candidates have come up. But when you look at it, our politics is highly monetized. And this is my concern, which means if you have ideas, but you don't have money, you don't have a chance in the Nigerian politics, in the context we are, and that is saddening.
That song that we played earlier is about 3-4 years old. No? Yeah, about 4 years, 4-5 years old. Are you saying that that message hasn't gotten home?
Yes, it has not gotten home because, and I mean, actually, it's not just about the leaders, also the followers. Also the followers, because the followers too, they are not ready to do their civic responsibility unless one way or the other they are induced. Not just the delegates. People look at the delegate now because it's primary. By the time we move to the election, like we are talking about the Ekiti election next week now, it's Saturday that's coming, you see. And incidentally, that's my home state, you know. And I was talking with somebody in Ekiti, you know, somebody, a close relative, and said, how about this election? And that was just about last week or so. And the person and the sister told me that, in the churches we have been told, go and vote according to your conscience, go and do the right thing. You see, and passing the message to somebody in the market. And the person just turned and said, what do you mean? What do you mean? We no, don't preach that to me, sister. Anything they give me now, I'm going to collect it and I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do. So we still have this among the followers.
Mr. Kundayo, between 2019 and now, you will agree that Nigerians have become even more impoverished than before the last election.
That's right.
So you are asking them to vote their conscience. I mean, a market woman who hasn't sold a lot because the prices of her goods are going up and up. So she's getting fewer and fewer customers. So there's less money in her pocket. Cost of living is increasing every day, but her income is not increasing. And you are preaching to her, go out there and vote your conscience. My brother, how is that going to work? When this is her opportunity to collect what she sees as her own share of the national cake.
Now, it is good for Nigerian followers because I'm a followership researcher. I always emphasize on this. As long as we look at the immediate gain, as long as it is, you know, like you said in the common parlance, the boko sebe. That means just get something so that you can make a pot of soup. As long as we look at this ephemeral something, it's just like the biblical Esau and Jacob acting. Esau was hungry, famished, coming in, and said, well, I don't care about that right. just give me this food now. As long, and you know the latter end of Esau, he missed the covenant. So as long as many of the followers, we are fixated on the immediate gain, on what we can get now, and then we switch our votes for that highest bidder, then it means we only have that. How about the future of our children, about our grandchildren? How about the education? How about our health? How about all that area? How about the environment?
So what would you say to those who say that our leaders actually impoverish us on purpose so that they can use us at such a time?
Well, if maybe in the last 10 years, maybe the past decade, but now in this digital age, we need to reset our brain. Nigerians need to reset their brains. And, I have my 2 daughters in the house. Last week we were talking, and they were all, galvanizing themselves now, to just go and get their PPC. And I was looking at them. Is this the right time now? Or anyway, you can still do it. It's better late than never. You see, but we're talking and talking. And it's like the youth are disenchanted from all that is playing out. And it's good our leaders are hearing this. They are disenchanted about, PDP stop, APC stop. The youth are disenchanted. They wanted the change. You see, but invariably, like what happened in the NSAS, they don't know how to find this way. And I was discussing with my daughters, I look at them, I say, look, the thing is, if you don't go and join political parties, and that is it, whether you like it or not, you have to join them. And not just joining them here, you join them at the world level. You begin to participate with them. You cannot make inroad, especially the popular political parties. Join them. Don't say you are abandoning them. Is it because if you do that for 2023, it's too late. The train has left the station. Maybe 2027. But for 2023, the train has left the station.
I'm happy we are talking about, you raised this now because this conversation is about strengthening our political process. Now, reference June 12th.
Yeah.
1993 was 30 years ago? 30 years ago.
Yeah, about 30 years.
Okay. 30 years ago. And you talked about us planning for the future.
That's right.
Now, June 12 was a landmark. It's one we will never forget. It's etched in our history, political history as a country. Thankfully, this government has recognized it and all of that. Are there lessons in this 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago, that are useful for us today? Back then, all of the dice was against the person that's claimed to have won the election. He was an inexperienced politician. He had a Muslim ticket. The National Assembly at the time had more people in the opposition party as opposed to his own SDP. The NRC dominated the National Assembly at the time. So what are the lessons that we may have lost into history over the past 30 years? As a people, a sizable number of people who are in leadership today were young, much too young at the time. So what are the lessons that you think we need to draw from that 30-year history that might still be useful for us now?
I want to just let you know, Ayo, just like Auntie Alero was saying the other time, from the premise she was coming from before asking the question, the economy has worsted many things. That's the language that we use. You see? And unfortunately, that is it. And politicians, they are playing on this. Unlike those years you refer to, how much was, common item being sold in the market at that time.
Even at that time, you remember that the 1979 government had an economy. By the Obasanjo government that handed over to the military, the civilian government of Shagari, had an economy. That Shagari government began to complain of a bad economy.
But they came up
they came up with the austerity measures because things were getting worse. Now, it was because things weren't getting any better that the military took over at the time, pointing accusing fingers at the politicians of the day. So it's not like, that's why I said one of the things that we said in the opening is that, look, we seem to praise the previous government every time.
Now, let me just cut in. There's something there, there's a missing link there that we need to know. Let's even leave the economy issue alone. Values, we need to come to it now. Values at that time, values of average Nigerian at that time, what you value, what I value, has changed over time.
Start with life.
Yes. You see, people value, look at the time of the late chief of Obafemi Awolowo. You know, conversation all about, there was nothing about money. You see, people in the Southwest, Ekiti, Ondo, and all the rest of the people, oh, you are, what are you doing for us? Free education, free health. I still remember the 4 cardinal programs. And you could see crowd of people in his campaign, the campaign train all over at that time. So it was a kind of value, you see Nigerian followers. And that is, we have to revert back to that. That's a useful lesson. We have to revert back to that now. To value, is it, can we look at the pedigree of this personality? What has he done for us before? Can he make it to happen again? It's not about he has come with money. Oh, he's come with a war chest. Oh,
Are you saying that we don't ask those questions these days?
Yes, and Antialero, we need to be asking those questions. We need to be asking, what's the pedigree of this person, this personality? What has he done before? What office has he occupied?
When do we have the opportunity to ask that question? Because you talked about delegates.
We have the opportunity.
Just a second. You tell me where that opportunity is, because we have a delegate system, right? And the delegates are in the political parties.
Yeah.
So if we are going to ask those questions, at what point do we, the followers, begin to ask those questions?
Good. And that's why I said, referring to the youth. And now let me now say, all inclusive apart from the youth. We need to, is it because this one we are saying now, like you are right, for 2023 is gone. Because we have the presidential candidates are determined. But going forward, the average...
No, Mr. Akundayo, I do beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Okay.
To butt in. The presidential candidates are now being put forward by their parties.
Yes.
But we have
the
not voted.
Yeah. Good.
And we are the ones who are going to determine which of those people who have been put forward is going to be our president.
But do you know what, Antialero? We are already to side with Ayo on that. We are already being constrained to choose between these 15 candidates to be our president. That is the danger.
How?
Okay, I will tell you. Now, you see, the way it works is with all these candidates now, definitely in democracy you will choose. And democracy is a game of number. So at the end of the day, is this 15 people, I'm not sure, 15 or 16 candidates, one of them will match as the president.
Okay.
And if I may tell you something here that will shock you, which later you will say, yes, I said that. Because as a researcher, I've looked at it from 1999 to 2019. And this is it. That's where Nigeria has to watch it. Among the 2 most popular political parties, either of them is our president. So take it or leave it. Yes, even though the top force, they say they are galvanizing now, wait, hold it. You have your own perspective. You see, but that has likely play out. Unless 2023 will be an exception. But it will be an exception.
Mr. Akundayo.
Yes.
People have been saying that they are tired of these 2 parties. Doesn't that count for anything?
It was said that in 2019, Anti-Alero, 2019. It was said, the same thing was said. 2011, the same thing was said. You see, but, you see, the way the things play out, let me tell you, by the time we enter into the campaign train now, you begin to see it. You begin to see people changing. Money inducement will come in. Other things will come in.
That's all right.
So that is what I'm saying. Looking forward, 2027, it is time, especially I'm speaking to the youth now, if they really decide change, then they should be thinking of organizing, I've said it on this program before, organizing their own group together. They may not even form a party yet, but a group that will be identified, a group that will begin to speak to the conscience of the nation.
Okay. Dr. Kna, one of the things that has played in my mind is, you know, what we're talking about here is strengthening our political process. What has been missing over the past few years is that of trust in the system. Right. And because the system hasn't thrown up the kind of people that generally a good number of people can have confidence in and say, okay, this fellow is going to deliver the goods to Nigerians and all of that. And, you know, just as we said earlier, you know, at the beginning of the program, we select one person to govern at the federal level, one person in each state to govern at the state level, but they work within systems. Is it a problem of the systems not delivering, or the visionlessness of the or the inadequate vision or lack of whatever it is,
Lack of it.
of lack of it, that is not making the people we elect, the top leaders, perform as we expect, or we're expecting too much of individuals, single individuals, when they have a defective system to work with?
We have not really held our leaders accountable over time, irrespective of the political platform. You see, and that is a call out to followers. It's not just putting them there and then we realize, oh, election have been won. How many House of Assembly members have constituency office? How many House of Rep members have constituency office? Functional one. Even those who are in leadership position in the National Assembly, how many senators have constituency office? Now, do we demand from them quarterly, you should be having a town hall meeting with us? Or even if it is maybe based on six-month basis, biannually, you come here, we tell you, we don't even see them. And you know what? Like one senator was saying in the Southwest, I won't mention him now on this program, when the person was called upon and said, well, you have not done anything for your constituency. And she retorted back by saying, what else do they want? During the time of the election, they were asking me for money, and I gave them, and that's all. And that settles it. And for that one, you can't see any constituency, no dialogue, no town hall meeting. So what are we saying? So you can see that many of our representatives, they just represent themselves. They stand for themselves. And that is a fallout of the system. And it should not be tolerated going forward. Even in 2023, we should hold our leaders accountable. If you're in the House of Assembly, then we should hold them accountable. If you're in the House of Rep, the same thing, Senate. Even our governors, what stopped them from having town hall meeting with us every quarter, to report back? And they have manifesto, they have agenda, and the citizens should engage them based on that manifesto. Sir, you say you will speak, you will do this, you will start this. We have not seen you starting. Let him explain. Let her explain. And that's it. Then we'll be going forward.
Do you think that the people are, they have enough understanding of what is required of them as citizens who have elected these members of rep, these senators, these governors? Do you think we have a full understanding of the power that we have to interrogate them, as you have said, and to make them accountable?
I agree with you, Auntie Alero, because
it's a question.
No, it's a question. Let me answer it this way. Really, it's a thing I've been saying, that our followers need to be equipped. They need to be empowered. With that, they will be emboldened. You see, like you said, which I agree with too, many of the followers are not educated politically. I'm not talking, even the elites, most elites, professors, doctors, engineers, lawyers. You see, we need to see active MBA, Nigerian Bar Association, participating actively, telling us some things about the law, or they are quiet now. Honestly, Nigerian Medical Association, it's not when you need salary increase. What is it? When the trainers left the station. When you put wrong people in places, what do you want? You should be able to even have a say, becomes the minister of health. That's what we are saying. When they know you are powerful in NMA, they want to consult you. Now, look at it now. The Khan is saying you can't have a Muslim ticket. And now the politicians they are running at us because they know the influence of Khan. They know the influence of PFN. The same thing, NMA, MBA, all these professionals. Now, and the civil society organization too, their voices should be loud, towards all this, so that we begin to now educate the followers on their rights, on what they need to know. INEC can come here, the National Orientation Agency, I've said it before, I'm saying it again, they have been so cold and so silent.
Dormant.
Dormant or docile. It is time for them to, if they need more funds, let them tell the government. Even they can even get funds from outside the country.
There's something you said.
To do this.
Yeah, there's something you said earlier, Dr. Knell, about Ekiti State, for instance. But it's just an instance, but it's something that's perhaps all over the nation. The level of poverty and the level of education. people are where they are. And there is very little, if anything, really we can do to radically move people out of where they are without a systemic process, to that. In terms of strengthening, I go back to that question, our political process. In order to evolve the set of leaders Nigerians need, not can have, need. What is missing in the process? You've spoken to political education just now, but then how interested are people in that? Just as you said, what happens in Ekiti? Dibo Ko Sebe. So
that happened last. So, it won't happen now.
Okay. It will still happen, you say?
No, I say it won't happen. It will
Are you
not
sure?
happen.
You are very confident.
People are more impoverished now.
They are more impoverished, but there is a kind of enlightenment. There's a kind of campaign going around, and I was in Ekiti January, and some other months like that. There's a kind of campaign in churches, in schools, all over. That let's look at the future. You see, enough of stomach infrastructure. Let's look at the future. You see, during the days of Baba Awolowo, like I've said it before, I'm saying it again. Free education was given to us. He promised the Ondo people, Ondo state people. Then Ekiti State was in Ondo, and we could see that there was free education. I enjoyed that. I passed out from a secondary school where I was given free textbook, where I didn't pay school fees. So it is time for people to begin to value that. You see, when we value that, there will be a kind of a change, a paradigm shift, because we know that we'll get this thing, and if we get credible people in position that we know their pedigree before, they will not lie to us, then definitely people will not be asking for money or inducement before voting. And through that, it's a process. We'll be able to change the orientation, the mindset of the people. You see, until we get to that we begin to value, see things with the big picture, not the immediate gain. I will keep on saying that. But followers need to be educated politically.
This is so in terms of this education.
Yes.
What do they need to know? I mean, this is not just Ekiti. Ekiti is just an example.
Yeah.
There's Bauchi, there's Borno, there's Katsina, there's Sokoto, there's
Edo,
there's Taraba, there's Niger,
Sokoto,
so many other states. There's Zamfara. Those with the highest poverty figures, those with the lowest employment figures, and all of those things. And those in the deep rural areas where there is no semblance of government, and the only thing they want is to live per day. How do we educate those people?
Now, you know what? As you are speaking, something just flashed my mind, and I want to say this. A delegate was present. A delegate was induced and given a lot of money. You read about that. And he went to his constituency, and he looked at the orphans, and he looked at the less privileged, and share this thing with them. That's a kind of this thing that should be seen as, oh, look, you see, although you may say the guy maybe has a political ambition in future, whatever, you see, but it is high time that people begin to value. I will still return to our values. We need more and more people to come out. The human rights crusaders, human rights critics, let's go back to preaching value again.
Who is going to preach that value? Because the values people see now, you understand that what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The values people see now is, I was poor, now I'm rich. I was blind, now I see.
Yeah,
that's what they can see. These things that you're saying, they are in the Constitution. So who is going to preach values?
It has to start from our mosques. It has to start from the churches. Messages have to be changed. Yes, in the churches, in the mosque. It shouldn't just be about, you give, you get. We have to go back to the basics of the two basic religions. Even the traditional religion, the Omoluabi ethos is there. That if you do good, good will follow you. It's there. Even in all the religions. So we need to, even in schools, the curriculum of the primary schools need to change. We need to go back to our history. Some of these places, they have removed history from the. We need to go back. Let people know our history. Let them know our founding fathers. Let them know what they stand for. Like that. Market men and women, there is time to begin to infuse them, to align them, like that. And then we begin to have. It's going to be a process. Then we are going to have a society that will having
Mr.
chairman.
Kunaya, you said they should start from the churches.
Yeah.
Don't forget that some churches now they also are facing trust issues when the GOs or pastors or whatever have come out clearly and said they heard from God directly that they are going to take over from this president and that president, and such didn't happen. It didn't happen.
You want me to comment on that?
Yes, and these are the people you want now to start educating. You want the people to put their trust in such persons.
Now, we won't start on this individual basis. Like I was talking with somebody who happened to have something to do with politics in Cannes and the rest. You see, and I told them, I said, clearly, you have missed 2023. And he said, yes, it's like I was in that meeting. I said, no, I didn't need to know. But me as a politician, you have missed it. You see, and I know it will fall this way. I know. You see, I'm a minister also. People watching me now. I know. You see, because there are a lot of things about political education that the church doesn't understand. Maybe even they must understand better than us. Let me say it that way. Yes, and it pains me, it saddens me. You see, when some people are projecting and they are saying something, what do you know about the political process? You see, what do you know about the delegate system? You see, for us following them, I did a kind of, what to call ethnography research. I was in the midst of this delegate, an aspirant, in Ekiti, in 2018 election. And I could see what was happening. So for you sitting down in your church and you collected a form of 100 million, and so what? And you sat down and you are sending bulk SMS message. In this present Nigeria, in this context we are in, oh, you already know your score, what we have. Even those people who labor and labor and labor.
Zero.
What did they get at the end of the day? Talk less of somebody who sat down and who sat down. I was praying, prayer point, and you are raising a prayer champions praying for you. Politically, it does not work. And
well, I guess, it's not May 29, 2023 yet. So yeah. I guess, that date is yet to come. We'll have to wait for it. But we have to thank you for now, Dr. Moye Kudaya, Leadership Development Consultant and Organizational Strategist. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for the time this morning.